RichBody, health, fitness, lifestyle.
All right, welcome to the RichBody podcast, episode number 3. Today we have Tyler Sabelli in the studio here with us today. Tyler went through a huge life transformation about a year ago, right? I think about a year ago. He went through a huge life transformation. He has kept it up. So I was really excited to talk to Tyler about this. Tyler lost, was it 76 pounds? I think it was, right?
Yep.
So thanks for stopping by, man. I really appreciate you coming by, and I'm excited for the listeners to hear about your story and hear about everything that you've been doing. So
thanks for having me.
How you been? I haven't seen you in a while.
No, been good. Yeah, busy. Obviously, life gets in the way of everything, but keeping busy and just as far as just trying to maintain a healthy lifestyle and it's going really well. So
obviously, you've still been training.
Yeah, no,
you look good. I mean, I haven't seen you. I think it's been at least a year. I mean, we've been in contact, but I haven't actually seen you in about a year. So
it's been. I mean, it's now it's kind of finally a part of my routine and part of my life, right? So I've built in, keeping up playing sports, racquetball, cycling, just trying to fit other things into just the gym. So it's been
it's become integrated into your life, right?
Yeah.
Like it's part of everything. You guys you came to me when you were, I think you were 279 ish pounds. So how old were you when you wanted to start doing this? 27. So fairly young. 279 pounds. So what was your life like before that? So before you decided to, before you looked at yourself and said, I got to make a change. Like what was your life like before that?
Well, I just realized that I needed to make a change and motivated. I wasn't motivated to do things. I felt lazy, tired, and it just at one point you just feel like you got to start changing yourself and the way you're doing things. Life's too short and.
Probably like everybody else, though. I mean, a lot of the listeners and a lot of people out there. I mean, let's face it, the majority of the population, that's just doesn't train, doesn't really isn't motivated enough to do anything. It becomes like it's your normal life. Like right. You're tired, you're sluggish, you're not motivated. Unfortunately, that becomes part of people's normal everyday life, and then that just becomes normal for them, right?
Right.
And I think it takes a certain person to reach a certain point like yourself to finally look at it and go, I'm way too young to be doing this. I'm way too young to feel this way, and I want to make a change, right?
For sure, yeah.
So what was it that actually made you want to make that change? Like what was there a turning point in your life, or did something happen? Because usually, in my experiences, there's always something in somebody's life that either happens or doesn't happen or something that makes them want to make that change. Was there something for you? So tell us what your mindset was like before, when you decided you wanted to make this change. Like what was it that finally just said, okay, you know what? I got to make this change and I'm going to do it.
I felt like I was tired, doing everyday chores, and I wasn't getting the most out of what I wanted to be. And, I felt lazy as a person. So I just started to, I wanted to make those changes and get motivated and get active. And
that's awesome. Yeah. You know what? Exactly. Like you have to kind of get to that point. You have to want it for yourself. I think what happens is a lot of people will start to make a change like that because their doctor tells them, well, your blood pressure is too high, your cholesterol is too high, and if you don't make a change, you're going to get even worse. You're going to get sick, or if your family's on you or something. But when it's an external source that's kind of telling you all this stuff like that, you resist it.
Yeah.
Right? That's just normal behavior. It's human nature. But you have to get to a point where you actually want it. Mm-hmm. And that's when you're finally going to see you're going to make that change, right?
Yep.
So I remember the first time, you called me and, you said you wanted to sit down and chat. And I think one of the first things I told you was, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Because we had talked about your lifestyle and, you hunt.
Yeah.
You like to go out with the boys on the weekend and you're drinking and you're partying and you're hunting and doing whatever. So I remember thinking to myself, I don't know if this kid's ready to actually commit to this. Yeah. Right. So, what did you think when I first told you exactly what it was going to be like and what you were going to have to do to actually make this happen?
I came into this thing prepared. I was ready. I was committed. I was fully committed. And, when I know myself, when I tell myself I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Right.
Yeah.
So, and I want to do it right.
Yeah.
And properly, right? So, no, I just had made a mental note that it was a commitment, and I was prepared to do it. So, some of those things, some of those activities, you have to obviously make time for them, but I think it's yourself and your health that comes first, and just realizing that is huge, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Like for you, you kind of made a drastic change right off the bat. Like I remember you saying to me, you're committed and you want to do this and you want to make this happen. Yeah. So you went from hunting every weekend and going away with the boys and the beers and the partying and the drinking to, okay, here's my start date. And, I'm going to start prepping my meals. I'm going to start training. And you did it right away, right off the bat. Was that a hard change for you? I know you were motivated, but was it difficult to make that change initially and to stick to it?
I think it was for sure hard, but I think it was less difficult than it actually sounds, because that program, you helped me out build a program. It's all laid out. My meal plans, as far as fitness, diet, it's all laid out. And for me to stick to it, I had to stay on track with, it's almost like an agenda, right?
Yeah.
And it actually made it easier for me, because there's less opportunity to get off of that course, right?
Yeah.
So that was kind of my point of view. I just, I've never been one to like meal prep and do stuff like that, before I met you, right?
Yeah.
And it was, and doing that actually made my life easier, because all your meals are laid out, and you know what you're doing before you get to the gym. And no, it was for sure a challenge, but it was something that I wanted to do and was fully committed to do, and like I say, that for me, that came first.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad you said it that way, because I think what a lot of people don't understand is they overanalyze getting in shape and getting on a good nutritional program and training, because they think it's too hard. But when you break it down and you look at it, and when your meal plan is set for you and you know what you're eating at every single meal, you know the weights, you know the measurements, you know exactly what it is. And then you know exactly what you're doing in the gym. You know how much time you're going to spend there. You know what the exercises are. When it's laid out for you, it actually makes life a lot easier.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Didn't you find, because I find, like for me, when I go into contest prep or an off season versus the off season, as disciplined as I am in the off season too, I get a little bit lazy, and sometimes I crave that routine, and I want to be back in that routine. I want to know what time I'm eating, what time I'm training, what time I'm sleeping.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It worked the same for me, and my program with you was, it was a 3-month program, but I've kind of translated, it's now a lifestyle for me, and never before I would have, realized weighing out a piece of chicken, and I could look at a piece of chicken now and tell you that it weighs 6 ounces, and I just, you never realize things like that, right? But, and I think you have to, to actually know what you're consuming every day, and, and it takes steps like that up front initially to, build up, a lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it was,
And it's easier for you to continue it now. Like, I think one of the other things that people are afraid of is if they get on a program, and this is why I don't advocate for people doing certain, time frames for diets where, they go online and they read about all these gimmicky diets that are out there. Not all of them are gimmicky, but, a 6-week shape up or, a 30-day weight loss or something like that. If you've never, ever done something like that before, and you actually do it, the problem becomes, what do I do afterwards? Right? So I think when you and I worked together, one of the main things that we tried to work on was make sure it's sustainable and make sure I can continue doing this, right?
For sure.
So what is it like when you're doing all of your stuff now? Is everything's pretty much integrated into your lifestyle now? Right? You prep you're still prepping your meals on Sundays and making them for the whole week, and you're still traveling for work a lot.
Yep. And with my job, I'm on the road a lot, and prepping on a Sunday, prepping on a Wednesday, and knowing what your meals are, it helps a lot, right?
Yeah.
It's so easy to just anymore. It's so easy to grab a bite anywhere, get to a restaurant, but no, I still build it into my weekly thing, and it works for me, and you have to, right?
And you must feel like a million times better. It's like when people are when you're overweight, you're not training, you don't know. It's hard for me to explain to someone who's never done it how awesome you feel afterwards. Because I try to explain this to people, and I tell them, like, for me, I use the example of like a cheat meal or a cheat day or a cheat weekend or whatever we end up doing. So if you eat so clean for 2-3 weeks in a row, or even like 5 or 6 days in a row, and then you're going to have that one cheat day. I know for me, when I'm eating clean and I'm training and I'm dieting, I feel awesome. My mental clarity is there, my energy's there, my focus is there. And then I get really excited to have that one cheat meal or that cheat day. But then you have it, and then you feel like crap afterwards.
Yeah.
And then for me, I sit there and I think about it, and I'm like, man, there's people that feel like this all day, every day, 7 days a week, right? You're a living example, because you can actually, what it was like when you were 280 some odd pounds, as opposed to, getting down to 197. So, what's the difference? Did you see a lot of, mental clarity and focus, and how was your energy shift?
Yeah, it's tough to explain, like you say, right? But you wake up every day and you can wake up, your feet don't hurt. And like something as simple as walking upstairs, a flight of stairs, you're not huffing and puffing. And it's, it's a good feeling, you feel refreshed. You feel like you're more successful at work and you're more positive around the people at work, in your everyday life. It's a different change. It's tough to even talk about, right? And explain it, because, and people are more attracted to you that way too, when you're
for
like
sure.
that,
when you're more positive, right? So that's a whole nother side that people don't even consider when losing weight, because people look at it so shallow, and they say, well, I need to lose weight. I got to lose 30 or 40 pounds or 80 pounds in your case. But I think initially they just look at it and go, well, I need to just lose some weight for my health. But they underestimate the impact it's going to have on your life everywhere else, right? Your mental clarity, your positivity, your outlook on life, the way like you just said, the way you attract people into your life and stuff like that. So that's something that a lot of people don't even contemplate when they're first starting a plan, right? Yep. So what would you say the hardest thing was, like going through this? And, I'm sure there was times where, you were a few weeks in and, you felt like you didn't want to prep or you didn't want to eat or whatever. But what would you say was some of the blocks when you were doing this that stopped you, or you wanted to stop? Like what were some of the roadblocks?
I would say like the only block or real, tough challenge in the whole thing for me would be traveling. Like I know, and it's tough not to travel. People got to travel for work and leisure and everything else. But traveling gets you out of your routine, and now I've kind of come to the point where I've learned how to adapt, what I'm doing at home into where I'm going or going to be, right? So, and you gotta understand that what you do throughout the week, you can't just let it all go to crap on the weekend either.
Exactly, right?
So that, I guess I would say for me, that would have been my toughest part is going away for 3 or 4 days and getting out of routine. But now I've kind of learned to figure it out. So
well, because you know what it feels like. The hard work you've put in all week, or for the last few weeks or the last few months, and you don't want to get off track. As much as it is hard going away, and you don't want to take your meals, and you don't want to train when you get to where you're going, but at the same time, where you've come, all of the improvements that you've made, and you don't want it to just go to waste right on that one. That's the part where it gets to where it's actually ingrained in your lifestyle. Because I think a lot of people will say, they reward themselves. Oh, I'm down 10 pounds. I'm just going to do whatever I want this weekend, right? And it's hard. Do you find that it was hard to get, when you did fall off, was it harder to get back on, or were you just motivated to get back on track if you did fall off?
Yeah, like you don't want to see yourself fall off too far, right? And then you, like you say, you're for sure motivated to get back on track and get it done quickly too. So for sure, I'd agree with that.
And it's easy to the hardest part is actually just getting back on, because once you actually get on, or once you actually start, it just runs smoothly right after that. Yeah. That's what I find. For sure. Even for me, if I'm coming off of an injury. So, there was a few weeks there where I really couldn't do much in terms of training. And then, I'm the same way as everybody else. I lose my motivation every so often. So sometimes when I can't train, I don't want to diet. You know, I'll eat once or twice a day as opposed to 5 or 6 times a day.
Sure.
But I find that as difficult as it is to say, okay, tomorrow is my start date and I'm going to start, that's the difficult part. When I actually start it and I've eaten meal 1 and meal 2 and then meal 3, and then all of a sudden you're right back on track and everything just goes right back in, right?
Yep.
So you were doing, we had you training pretty hard, right? You were getting up early in the morning. So when you before you started your weight loss, what time were you normally up at? Like, what was a normal time you would wake up?
Probably about 7 o'clock, 7:30, right?
Yeah.
And you know, today I'm up at 5:30 and you know 5 o'clock, and if I'm not making it to the gym in the morning, then I'm meal prepping or making breakfast or going for a bike ride or doing something, right? So.
Do you find that getting up early now, I mean, obviously it's a lot easier because you have a lot more energy, right? But a big part of getting up early too is that, you get a jump start on everything else. You know, you can train, you can get your bike ride out of the way, you can read, you can meditate, you can do so much. And I try to enforce that in a lot of, the clients that I work with. And a lot of people just hate getting up early. They just can't do it. It's too hard. I don't want to do it. But when you actually do it and you realize how much more time you have,
absolutely, yeah.
Right? I mean, that's the best part of it. I mean, for me, at least it is. One of the biggest changes that I made in my life, back when I went through my transformation was, the number one thing I did was starting to get up early in the morning. Mm-hmm. And once I built that into my routine, kind of everything else just kind of fell on track, right? For sure. So you went through, I think we worked together for, 12, 14, 15, 16 weeks, I think something like that in that area. 3 to 4 months we worked together. You were steady on track. My main goal with you was to teach you the lifestyle so that you can continue it on after me. As much as I would love to have clients stick with me for, years and months, it's good financially, but I think the goal is, and the goal of every trainer, I think, should be to educate their clients enough so that they can maintain it, for the rest of their lives. Mm-hmm. So it's been about a year since you and I stopped working together. Obviously, you're still continuing to do it. So where are you at now? Tell us, where are you at in your life now in terms of health and fitness and all that kind of stuff?
And for me, even when I was working with you, it was important for me to get a goal, and helping you. Actually, you helped me with that too. And as simple as something like, I had a goal to run a 5K. Yeah. And probably one of the last times we talked was the day I did that 5K, mm-hmm. right? And when I did it, like, I've never ran in my life, and I can't run down the road, and yeah, it's a little 5K, but for me it was a huge deal. Yeah. And I had a goal to run 5 kilometers, and I think from there I just set a different goal. Now, like, I'm starting to cycle. I'm incorporating racquetball. I'm playing other sports. I'm not just in the gym. Yeah. I try to keep my diet on track. And you also have to accommodate with your diet, what you're doing, either in the gym or what you're doing outside. Yeah. But now my goal is I want to bike 100 kilometers. I want to do. Wow. I'm training to do that. So I think having a goal in mind and trying to focus on that goal and getting it done, that's what kind of helps me keep going. Yeah. Right? And I think a lot of people can probably relate to that too. But the other neat part about it too is, people, even just at work, people feed off your energy and they're interested in what you're doing and they want to be a part of it, which is actually really cool. It brings you closer to those people, and seeing somebody else improve their life too mm-hmm. is a big bonus, right?
Well, because you become a motivating factor for them, right? You go from being just like everybody else, at work or in the office or wherever you're at, to all of a sudden, because I think secretly everybody wants to change, inside. But a lot of the times they don't have that motivation inside them to do it. Sure. And it takes someone like you out of a group of 7 or 8 guys or whatever your friend group is, and all of a sudden you start to make these changes, and the guys who would never ever contemplate doing something like that look at you and they go, look what Tyler's done. Like, holy geez, like, this guy's bringing his meals to work. This guy's dropping weight. Look how awesome he feels. He's got so much energy. All of a sudden they go from, why are you doing this, to how are you doing this, right?
For sure. And
then they start asking you questions, and then it motivates them, right? Have you motivated people around you? Have people around you made a lot of change in their lives?
And they don't come out and actually say it, but you kind of watch from the back, from the from the outside, and like I've got a good friend of mine. I hunt with him, fish with him, and he, I like meal prepping Tyler. I'd have a meal as I'm hunting in the blind because I got to get that meal in, right? And these guys are all laughing at me, but I had a buddy. He probably started about 220 pounds, and he's weighing like 180 now. Like,
oh wow!
So he's in the gym like as much as I am,
and he did that after you.
Yeah, he did that after me, and I don't know if it was because of me, but
I'm sure
I like to feel like it is. So,
I'm sure it was a huge part of it.
He looks phenomenal too now, and another friend of mine too. He just got married. He looks awesome, and for me to kind of relate to that and help him out and just give him my whole experience, I think, and see his transformation, it's huge too. So,
you know what? That's the thing is they go from chirping you at first, right, to why are you doing this? Oh, let's drink tonight, or let's just get a pizza, or why are you bringing your meals? And all of a sudden they just see that shift in you, and then it makes everybody want to change. And I think that's a huge part of doing a transformation is that the way it affects everybody else around you, right? Like your positivity at work and in your group of friends and wherever you go, it starts to attract, different people into your life, and it changes the people that are around you, right? And that's another big thing going through a transformation is that it's not, your goal at first initially is just to lose some weight. Yeah. I just got to lose weight. But I try to educate people on the impact it's going to make on your life and on everybody else's life around you, because I mean you're living proof that it actually changes your being, your whole you as a person, right? For sure. So you said you biked this morning, right? Yeah. Before you came here. We were supposed to initially do our podcast at 9 a.m. and 9
a.m. I had to move it to 11.
That's what did you bike? How far did you go today?
We did 60K this morning. I was out with a group. They were actually going to do 80, and I told you I'd have to meet at 11. So I did 60, and as hot as it is outside, but
it's a scorcher out there today.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
So cycling, that's something that you've recently gotten into, or is that?
For about a year now, I would say.
Yeah.
And it's just being outside and it's spinning in the gym is great, but it's one thing to be outside and enjoy the nice weather and.
So your goal is to do 100K. Is that like 100K straight? Like how would that work?
It would be 100K, and actually the group that I was with this morning, they're going to be doing that in, I think 7 days from today. So
nice.
So I'm not quite ready to do it yet, but hopefully next year, even sooner. We'll see.
What's the time goal on something like that for 100K?
I don't think there's a
you just want to
definite time goal. It's just get it done, right?
Yeah.
So. That's kind of where I'm at. That's a goal of mine, and if we can throw in some running or something else in between, and just to keep things, keep your body tricked and changing things up all the time, and
it's cool to see what you can do now, right?
Kind of makes it fun, right?
Yeah, so. I mean, a year ago you would have never thought of doing a 100K bike or racquetball or any of that kind of stuff, right? So, like you said, goal setting, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's hugely important. Like even for me, like for. Setting goals of whether it's competing, whether it's just I want to see my abs again, or I want to lift a certain amount of weight, or whatever it is. I think it's important for people to have goals. So, I mean, I think you're definitely inspiring way more people than I think you realize you're inspiring. We live here in a small town, and I know people have asked me about you, over and over again, and they've seen what you've done, and I think it's really given people a lot of hope that you can not only can you do it, but it's maintainable. And you can live that lifestyle and you can sustain it.
For sure.
Because again, with so many things out there now online and, people trying to sell all these fad diets and pills and whatever, because, I mean, we incorporated minerals and vitamins and stuff into your program, but we didn't really go into any sort of, gimmicky supplements that you had to take for fat burning or any of that kind of stuff like that, right? You did it with straight meals, training and dieting and all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. So where are you sitting at now weight-wise?
205 this morning.
205. So you're up from one. But, I mean, you've been training really hard. You built a lot of muscle. Cycling builds a ton of muscle in your legs, right? So you're probably up, a lot of muscle size and stuff like that. So what's your next big goal in life?
As far as a fitness,
nutrition, all that kind of stuff.
I'm looking at. I'd like to drop another 25 if I can get there. It's doable, but this last 25 it could take a while, but yeah, that's kind of my goal, and I'll get there. I just keep on doing what I'm doing, and
for sure,
and you know, once you, like you say, once you got a mindset, once you got a goal, it's going to happen. So.
What kind of advice can you give somebody who's listening to this right now and is sitting there and he or she is, you know, whatever, 250, 300 pounds and never really trained, never dieted, and, you know, wants to be that person like you did? You know, what would you tell that person right now if they were sitting in front of you to get them started and motivated?
Probably just do some serious thinking and look around, look at yourself in the mirror, and you know, come up with a game plan, come up with goals, and you know, talk to a trainer, talk to somebody, talk to friends, family, and come up with a game plan, come up with, you know, do some research on the computer, and after that first month, you know, of dieting and getting in the gym, it just gets easier and easier, and it actually gets to be a lot of fun after the first month or two, and changes happen faster than you think. Yeah. So, I mean, stop telling yourself to you're gonna start next year. Start now, because it's next year could be too late, right? So yeah. You know, it's tougher to break a bad habit, you know. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, start as soon as possible, because, like I say, it just becomes a lifestyle, right? So.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's great advice. I mean, it's simple and it's good advice, because people overthink it. Yeah. People sit there and they think about it, and they, you know, what am I going to do? And they got to have everything in place and everything. And I'll start tomorrow and I'll start on Monday. But you said it right. Just start now, because the sooner you start, the easier it gets, and then the quicker you get on track, right? So, you know, it's been awesome chatting with you and catching up with you, and I really appreciate it. And, you know, hopefully in you know, your next goal, once you reach it, you know, we sit back down and we talk about it again. And, you know, we're gonna continue working together to get you to your next goal, whether that's your 100K bike, or, you know, you're you know, dropping down a few more pounds, or whatever it is. But you know what, I was inspired by what you did, because I'm telling you, initially when you first came in to see me, I doubted you. Yeah. I did, because I thought to myself, I don't know if this guy's got what it takes to actually do this. But, you know, you surprised me, and you surprised a lot of people out there. And, you know, you went through an 80-pound transformation. So, you know, I commend you for that. And, you know, you've inspired a lot of people out there. And hopefully people listening here will inspire you. How can people get in contact with you if anybody wants to ask you anything? You know, what's your Instagram handle?
At Tyler_Sabelli. Yeah, just send me a message if you know, if you want. If you want my opinion on just how, you know, how life is becoming, and even if you want to just sit down and chat, just give me a message. And
that's awesome. Is that the best way for people to get a hold of you, is on Instagram, or would you rather them get a hold of you somehow?
Yeah, that's probably the best. Yeah, you can email me too.
What's your email?
tyler.sabelli@gmail.com. And
cool.
Yeah, send me an email with and I'll get in contact with you if you want to talk. And awesome. Obviously, Richie, thank you for, you know. And now we're more buddies than just being a trainer. So you know, I appreciate what you've done, and like I say, if you're thinking you want to get started, it's probably get started today. So yeah.
Awesome, man. Thanks for coming by, man. I really appreciate it. And you know, get back to this gorgeous Sunday afternoon. It's hot outside, so, and we'll be chatting again soon. Yeah. Thanks, buddy.
No worries.
Thanks, man.